I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite
podcast
on the Citadel.
Hey everyone, Tucker here from Accidentally Casual. We are the AC to your DC, and joining us on this highway to hell are my co-hosts Minius from Minius GC.
What's up?
And Seeker from BioWare Central.
Hey!
And my name is Tucker, and I'm from BioWare Central as well. Minius, take it away.
Yeah, I want to steal the intro from you because I always like doing the intro because it gets me excited. So that is the very last time you're doing the intro, unless I get overruled. We should have a Twitter poll.
Yeah.
We should have a Twitter poll, and even if I lose it, I'm not going to let you do the intro.
I love that I'm not even in the running to do the intro.
Do you want to do the intro?
Eventually.
Okay. All right.
So
all right.
We'll
have to rotate.
Twitter.
We'll have to rotate then. All right.
Okay. I call dibs. The Dragon Age one. I'm so doing the intro.
Well, it sounds like if it's 2-1 right now. You guys don't want me to do the intro, so I lose.
Well, no. We just need the Simpsons the intro. It needs to be different each time.
I don't want a different intro each time because the entire rest of the intro is different. For instance, we've been talking for over a minute, and we have no clue. No one has any clue what this podcast is about.
Well.
Because we do it every single time. This is a gaming podcast. We talk about BioWare games and games that are like BioWare games. And so I think someone got mad at me in the comment section. He's like, what the hell does that even mean?
If you play BioWare games, you would know exactly what that means.
we get into that every single episode.
Yeah.
But first of all, we need to get a few notes in. First of all, we need a logo. And we are holding a logo-making contest.
Some of the entries have been really good so far.
So I like some of the entries. Yeah, we're gonna get something.
Yeah. Wait, there's already things in.
Oh
Continue
my God,
to not
Tucker,
pay attention.
check the Gmail account.
So Tucker was in charge of our emails, and I didn't ask him this time around because he did it for Andromedards, knowing that he wouldn't look at the emails until 2 minutes before he needed to come up with something.
Yeah.
So. But anyway, you can send in your entry to our email address, which is accidentallycasual@gmail.com. You have until September 21st, and you could win $50. But I'm also willing to send you, instead of $50, both the Art of the Mass Effect Universe and Art of Dragon Age Inquisition, which combines some more than $50, if that's something you're interested in.
So
I should put a submission in for a logo.
Seeker, if you do that and come up with something great, I'm going to be so mad at you. Because you're like, I asked you, do you want to do a logo? You're like, no.
It wasn't that I'm not talented. I'm just super lazy.
Okay. Damn it.
So it's the 21st of September, right?
That is right. And the year is 2018.
So it's like the Earth, Wind, and Fire song.
I guess. I don't
remember the 21st night of September.
Yes.
How
let's
old
go
are
with
you?
Just because he has decent taste in music.
You got your AC/DC reference? Those were
that
both.
That is two music references right out the gate.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Second note: these podcasts are on our YouTube channels, but they're also on SoundCloud.
Are they?
Yes, Tucker, they are.
But it's only going to be, at least for now, only the two most recent entries because it costs money to put more than 3 hours on SoundCloud, which I didn't realize because 3 hours works fine for posting music tracks. It works perfectly fine because 3 hours of music is a lot. 3 hours of podcast, especially the way we talk, is not that much.
No.
So I can only guarantee that we're going to have two podcasts up there. And hopefully, we're not going to be able to get 3. Our first episode was like an hour and a half.
Oh, Jesus, it was, yeah.
Was it? I'm going to try to cut it down. Mm-hmm. And like I said, as the $50 bounty on our logo might insinuate, we don't have lots of money. Someone else was insulted about my amount. If we had more than $50, we could pay someone to make us a real logo.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, a logo itself, like $50 for a logo, that's pretty fair, right?
No,
Yeah,
no,
especially
it is definitely not for a professional. Logos are worth legit money. They really are. I mean, like,
so what's our topic for the day?
I'm not done yet.
Oh, you're not done yet. Okay. I'm trying to get us relatively on track this time.
We're still on track. I'm talking about podcast-related stuff.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, we do have a good topic, and that's why Seeker's excited.
Yeah.
So in the future, I want to get every audio version permanently online, but at the moment, it's just going to be on YouTube. And finally, this is a weekly podcast. We're going to try to release every week. We actually did a good job of that on Drama Nerds. But we don't have an official release time until right now.
Right now.
Accidentally Casual will come out every Wednesday at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, and 8 p.m. in the UK. And I'm going to ruin the every Wednesday thing. It's actually going to come out whenever the hell I feel like it, if it's before Wednesday. But it'll be out by Wednesday. Like, I think this podcast, we're going to get up by Monday. I'd love to give them up right away.
Yeah.
I can turn these over in 24 hours or less than 24 hours. The problem is we don't record at the same time every week, even though we have a scheduled recording time, because we're ridiculously uncoordinated.
Yeah. And also some of us have things that didn't come up this week, but, so it's just, arranging stuff. Yeah.
In addition to doing the podcast? That's so
I
weird.
know, right? It's weird.
By the way, for Andromeda Nerds, I think we recorded like 35 episodes. Maybe twice did we record in the actual time we were supposed to. And I'm not exaggerating. It's usually at least 2 hours different, and most of the time, like, multiple days. It's like, I don't want to do it today. We have to do it later. So anyway, check on our Twitter feeds if you want to know the exact dates. I am at Minius GC. Tucker manages N7 follower, and SeekerCat is at SeekerCat5500.
Mm-hmm.
SeekerCat, would you rather just go by Seeker? SeekerCat's longer.
Seeker's fine.
Okay, Seeker. If you have questions or topic suggestions, or would like to send in art or photos for the slideshow, hit me up at our email address, accidentallycasual@gmail.com. I'm going to keep on saying that because no one's going to remember it.
Hey, people have remembered. I've been looking at the email address, and the things are coming in.
Okay, cool. That's good. Also, check our Twitters for the topic of the week ahead of time so you can send in and be a part of it.
Oh, yeah.
And our topic this week is Cyberpunk 2077.
Yay!
So, did you guys see the gameplay demo?
I've watched it like 3 or 4 times.
It was like, what, 48? It was like 48 minutes?
I think that's too long for me, unless I know it's coming out soon.
Because CD Projekt Red are such a unique studio, and the fact that they announced it so long ago, and they were just like, oh, here, let's have a look at the actual, how the game's going to look and feel and play. It was just like, it was definitely worth it, especially since like when they did the trailer, the cinematic trailer. I can't remember what year that was released. Was that 2 years ago?
Oh, the first one was a long time ago.
Oh, a long time ago.
Yeah.
And with the tagline, it will be out when it's ready, or something to that effect. So the fact that it was such, I wanted to give them a standing ovation for that, full stop. But,
oh yeah, that's their thing though.
Exactly, but when it was just like, oh yeah, here's 40 minutes of stuff, I was just ready to oh my god, just inject it in my veins. It looks so good.
Yeah, CD Projekt Red with Witcher, they kept on delaying that, which was actually pretty good, and also Rockstar does it, which make them automatically two of my favorite developers. They're going to put out games when they're ready to go. They're not going to rush them out.
My sister almost worked for CD Projekt Red, so it's had a near miss there.
Oh, that's almost cool.
So close.
Well, she also works for Warframe now, so that's pretty good.
All right. So my favorite part of the gameplay demo, by the way, was the fact that they had the narrator who kept on saying, and the little thing on top, "This is not the final product." He said it so many times.
Everyone.
It's like I remember. I know why that is. It's because they showed some Witcher stuff earlier. And the ridiculous, meticulous gamers online noticed all these differences in the actual graphical releases. They were like, oh, you're changing the graphics. It's not as good as it was before.
Oh my god, the puddle wasn't there. Why
and
wasn't the puddle there? It's like,
they were getting that for Spider-Man, and they're just like, all right, we're just going to make it extra clear and say it 5 or 6 times and have it in permanent print. on there that this is not the final version and we might change stuff.
Bringing this back to BioWare for a second, I loved the shade at the Anthem panel where they said, "Oh look, you can see a puddle that may or may not be there by the time the game gets released." Yes, thank you for pointing out the ridiculousness of this whole like Puddlegate. I think it got dubbed.
At first, I was angry at people who were way too into graphics and got mad about graphical downgrades. Now I don't care because really games are about what you like, and if you really like graphics, you can really detail about it. I'm cool with that. Anyway. I also like that and this has nothing to do with the game, that narrator who would say stupid stuff. He shouldn't have been.
To be fair, they gave him the script, so it wasn't really.
I understand they gave him a script. He should have said less. That's what I'm saying.
I tell you a detail I loved, like just from stuff the narrator said, that they took time to. I wish I could remember his name, but they took the time to credit the creator who created the original tabletop game Cyberpunk 2020 and said like, oh, it's based off his vision. I was like, oh yeah, good on you, because a lot of especially
vision, you say, for 2020
when it feels like tabletop stuff gravitates to the big leagues or upgrades to the big leagues of being a proper video game, as some people like to say, they tend to distance themselves from the tabletop side of things. So it's nice to see CD Projekt Red embracing that side of it. Oh, did you see at PAX they had like a cyberpunky bar set up to promote it, and the guy who played Connor in Detroit Being Human dressed up as Connor and went to the bar. I thought that was freaking adorable.
That's pretty cool.
I would have liked to go to PAX. I only have a limited amount of money. I went to PAX East in Boston once and had a lot of fun. But my annual video game conference is the PlayStation Experience, because I enjoy that. But yeah, that I saw that they did that. I didn't look too much into it.
No. But yeah, it was cute.
So one of the reasons we're bringing up Cyberpunk is it is the most BioLike game that we can think out coming out that's been officially announced. And also, it's cool looking.
Oh,
and we asked for game suggestions, and everyone wrote in like Cyberpunk, which was
please,
we were already going to chat about. Just hey, you can do things in different ways. Hey, you got audio and narrative.
Yo, you can bang people of different genders.
Hey, like, you can bang lots of people. Hey, that sounds like a BioWare game.
Mm-hmm. I just, as soon as it started up, I was just I am so loving this premise and this concept, especially when. Because I wasn't paying too much attention to the actual mechanics of the gunfight. I tell you what it reminded me of the most, beyond just sort of things like Blade Runner. Have you guys seen the movie Dread?
Yes. The second one, right? Not the Stallone one?
Not the Stallone one, the Carl Urban one.
The Stallone one is hilarious because Stallone's in it.
But that is, I think, at least a very key reference point, because they were very heavily, there was very much the thing of like the mega towers where everyone lives in, like mega cities, that's what it's called, Mega City 1, and you had the drug slow-mo. So when they had the inhaler, I was like, oh, it's slow-mo.
That's true. That is a lot like Dread, those two things.
And if you look at the color scheme, the color schemes are very similar as well, sort of the high neons. And
that's my favorite part of the Cyberpunk thing is the kind of neon futuristic.
The punk
it's like,
aesthetic.
I mean,
it's exactly what the future. Really, you suck then. The futuristic 80s like thing. I love that. I love the neon noir type thing. I think that's awesome. Tucker, why do you not like that?
I don't know. I'm just not a fan of that art style. Same thing with Dread. I wasn't a fan of that art style.
Once again, Tucker has no idea why he does things. And
all right,
no one else does either.
Just to bear in mind, I complimented your taste in music earlier. Give us an example of something you do like the aesthetics of, like as a thing. So you don't like 80s cyberpunk.
I bet he likes Halo.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say I like Mass Effect. I was gonna be cheating and say that.
Other than something BioWare related or Halo related, because we know you like Halo. Just any
Fallout?
first thing off Lola.
Fallout.
Oh, Fallout. Sorry, I thought you said Lola. I was like, what the hell?
Wait, you like Fallout's aesthetic where everything's brown?
No, I like it because it's like the 50s in the,
The
future.
50s,
like 50s
retro stuff. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
the walking all that around. Okay.
Well, I mean, the Cyberpunk, like, just the way that art style reminds me is like someone got Detroit and just put neon all around it.
But that's the point. It's supposed to be
it's just
punky and a bit more.
I'm just not a fan of that.
It's fine. Yeah.
Okay, I like that. I like the music that goes with that. There's a lot of I want to call it tech noir.
Yeah.
I'd like to drop in some Perturbator. Perturbator. Have you ever heard some of his music? Go online and look up.
I will look it up. Yeah, link.
Perturbator. I don't want to post it on here because it's not there, but you can. I know what it's similar to, and that's on purpose.
I feel like if I type that into my search bar, something else might be popping up.
I don't think so. But he's got lots of. There are a lot of people who've done fan like music videos online. They're all set to like 1980s Japanese anime.
Johnny Silverhand. That was it. That was the name of the in-universe singer of the song in the background. That sounded like proper 80s hair metal, and I was like, yes! This gets me right in the aesthetic. Yes.
Yeah, I really dig at least the background atmosphere.
I love that there was one tiny detail. I love that there's a gun shop called First Amendment.
First Amendment?
First Amendment, yeah.
That's not the First Amendment. You
Well,
crazy
called...
British
lady.
Lady.
Hang on. Is it called First Amendment or Second Amendment?
It's the Second Amendment.
Second Amendment.
Second Amendment.
How dare you not know our amendments? Let's revolt again.
We'll go all 1776 on you.
I think you already did that.
I don't think anyone should study American history other than Americans.
Well, you're gonna chuck some tea in the Boston River. Be my guest.
That's right. Let's throw that tea. We've never picked it up.
Yeah.
By the way, speaking of the United States, this game takes place in Northern California, the state of North California.
Yes, it's
So the United States does not exist anymore.
That's the thing. Ever since I saw Big Hero 6, I want to call it San Francisco, but it's not that. It's
Night
City.
Night
That's
City?
the one.
Yeah.
And it's
I still
a
think-
combination between LA and San Francisco. Yeah.
I still think that the best one, though, is Futurama's, which is New York.
Wait, Doctor Who will beat you to that because they had a city that was on a different planet, and it was apparently the 15th New York since the original. So it was New York, but it should be technically New York. So yeah.
I should probably watch that show at some point too.
They're also using the euro as a currency. So the United States is completely
euro
gone. They
dollars.
completely
I love
bombed. They're using the euro, and even California didn't make it as a state.
No.
So this is a dystopian future.
Oh, very much. I love the quote that was, "You can't save the world. You can only in a dystopia. You can only save yourself." And I think that's a very interesting place to place V, the hero, or the protagonist, I should say, because you're not constrained to doing the right thing, as it were. You can be more altruistic depending on what the quest is or what's going on. But how did you feel about that? Because I was tremendously relieved that they demonstrated the diplomatic side of it. And bear in mind, you could tell by the way it played out that there was still several different options.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether or not that's the case on every mission. Because a lot of times they'll show off like, one or two, just because it's got to take way longer to plan and execute that as a game. They're like, you can do 4 or 5 different ways.
I would love to see someone do like, I've done low level grinding, because that was clearly like a very early on mission, if not like the first or second one. So it would be hilarious to see someone just like really, really low level grinding for hours and hours and hours. It's like, right now I'm like level 100 and I've got all the money and all the upgrades, and now I can just like, completely OP my way through this quest.
On the topic of like that kind of stuff, the video, it seemed like the choices that you made though throughout the story didn't matter.
Really?
Yeah, like first off,
we'll have to see.
First off, the choices that were presented with the woman that was in the bathtub, it didn't matter if you pick her up or if the guy picks her up, because immediately
Tucker,
after
did you watch the
get rid
whole
of her.
thing?
Dude,
I'm
that's
talking,
like...
we were talking about the later quest, the second quest, not the one where you get the one from the bathtub. The one with the spider bot.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
There's little things in Mass Effect like that too.
I have to give a little appetizer before I go for the full meal course.
Your appetizer was dumb, but go ahead.
Yes.
So, and then with the other one, it seemed like the person was trying to do the most passive that they could, but it still ended up in a firefight.
What? What for the?
It did. No, it did. But
So,
it's half the gameplay. I don't.
Oh, you mean about the spider bot? Okay, because the reason the
spider
spider bot didn't.
Yeah, they're completely unrelated comments. It's a terrible appetizer.
Yes. So anyway, so just to be on the straight and narrow here, discussing the spider bot side of the quest, when you actually go and pick it up from I forget what they were called, that gang. I'll think of it in a second. The guy, I thought the design was really cool, but the whole super augmented, bug-eyed sort of red-eyed thing looked really cool. But like they said, they did mention that if you wanted, you could go get enough credits to buy it yourself, so you didn't have to use her bugged credit chip. So you can just, do the entirely diplomatic thing and walk out and come out and not really involve her at all.
But I'm just thinking of Fallout New Vegas, how you could solve almost everything passively if you wanted to.
And she just gave you the passive way to solve it. Tucker, pay attention! God damn it, Tucker!
They do tell you explicitly, about 5 different ways that could have gone.
But it just seems like that, it's one of those things where it's like you have choices, but no matter what, the designers have an end goal that they want you to be.
You're not listening. That's okay. You don't listen anyway. By the way, I have a list of points to go over, and my second point is Tucker sucks, which means Tucker was mentioning before he's not interested in this game other than the aesthetic and this thing. Why aren't you super interested in Cyberpunk? Which is very weird.
Other things that I have 2 other things that are noted while I was watching it. It seems like you're cut off from certain things if you're not proficient in a certain skill, and especially the mission that the final one, the spider bot. It doesn't seem like that's something that you'd go back to be able to do again. And early on they say, this person would be able to open the door if they were proficient in this. And as someone who goes through and needs to collect every single thing in every single video game, like Skyrim is my heroine. I don't like being cut off from something and never being able to go back and get it.
I expect that's a class-related thing.
Yeah.
There's no classes in Cyberpunk.
Yes, there are.
It's like D&D.
No, they said there were.
D&D you have classes.
In the 48-minute video, it starts off saying there are no classes.
I thought he said there are
no classes. But there's still skills and skill trees that you expand. Yes, we agree on that.
Look at Tucker. He's on the roll.
I swear he said there were classes, but okay.
Now, you essentially choose your proficiency in what skills you want, or not skills, but it's like D&D where you're choosing charisma, intelligence, strength.
Which basically might allow you to hack that stuff in either way.
You might have skills in hacking, or you might have skills in...
If I decided to be proficient in, or if I didn't want to be proficient in hacking, now I'm literally, now there's things I cannot get now.
You can be proficient in cool, though.
Yeah, apparently, street cred.
Cool is a stat.
I love
Although I think I'm too white of a person for that.
So
like
cool.
Strength. I'd love it. I want to be full up in cool, and they're like, no, we know you're Tucker. You can't do that.
Nah.
Tucker's cool level is -1.
All right, what else do you want to poop on this for?
It looks like the game requires no skill to play.
Really?
Yeah, the constant slow motion where the enemies can't hit you, but you still move at normal speed.
It depends on how that works.
Hey, dude, that thing was popping up so frequently.
Yeah, it was.
There's that, and then, the weapon that has tracking rounds where you could just shoot and you're going to hit a person. You could just blindly shoot. That, as well as just the way that the person was moving about, it's really cool. I definitely see the appeal of this, moving around and jumping around. It was cool, but it looks like it doesn't take skill. It looked like the person at no point was in danger because they could just slow motion something. And then they had skills where they could see enemies through walls. They could.
I can't remember a single demo that makes it hard on the person. It's just terrible idea for a demo.
Not to mention that they explicitly said after you picked up the spider bot that we're going to give you a higher level character now to show off some of the things you can do, like see through walls, like get the super high end loot where you have the guns that have the tracking bullets and all that stuff.
Do you ever play demos at conferences and stuff? They're always easy. They don't want you to just go in there and die repeatedly because people get frustrated. So the demo where you die, it completely resets it. The game's on easy mode, dude.
Well, I understand
No,
that, but
no,
just
you don't
the
understand
way your
that.
abilities stack in that, and the amount of slow motion that you're able to do, which I don't think that has anything to do with difficulty.
We'll see.
It just, it seems like it does not take skill. Like, you don't have to really aim.
Well,
you can just fire.
I think that's something that's not solved yet, but I can see your point. But it's just, I mean, those demos, they're always flying through. So I expect that auto-aim gun is not available in that mission.
I mean, absolutely not. Like, all of those things are made specifically for that. And that's also something that's kind of annoying in the gaming industry in general, is E3 conferences and things like that, is that developers have to take time from actual development to develop the E3 or PAX build or Gamescom build. They take away from actual development to do that. Same thing with demos and betas, and well, more along so demos than betas. But that's a part of the reason why demos aren't as around much anymore as how betas have become more popular, is because demos took an entire different development to do. Like, sure, they would take a mission from it, but they would have to change the development of it. They'd have to change dialogue. They would have to make sure that no extra code from the actual game is in there, which takes a lot of time. They have to QA test it, advertise it, and do all that stuff. So, like, everything that they show is not going to be that way in the game. And it's obviously done so they can advertise it, but it's just like, it's still...
Do you have a better way to market games than that?
Yeah, just say, hey, this game's coming out, give some information about it, and then...
a better way, not a way.
Trailers?
I want whoever hires Tucker in his next gaming gig to make him only work on demos.
Yes.
I mean,
That sounds like an adequate level of revenge for that comment.
I've worked on advertisement for a few student projects that I was the producer for, where I would have to advertise the game to help them. And it's just like, demos.
Don't be so mad. You gotta advertise media products, otherwise people don't pay attention.
And that's another thing too. Like,
that's why that's why gameplay stuff's out. In fact, I imagine if you're a game and you're not a properly, let's say your studio doesn't have a great name attached to it, and you don't put out a demo, no one's buying or at least a gameplay showing, nobody's buying your game. And that's way more important.
And also, the marketing budget for a game is typically the same amount as the development cost for the game.
Which is the same for movies, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about the movie industry.
Nope, 100%. Same for movies. That's something I definitely know. That's just like I'm saying, that's just what it is for media.
So, like, I think Destiny was $500 million.
The first one?
Well, I know I got bombarded with trailers for Destiny every single time I turned on my goddamn computer.
I think over $200 were marketing.
Yeah, and that's why it sold by far and away the best for any new franchise. I mean, there's a really good reason for this stuff, Tucker. And you can rail about how you hate capitalism.
Oh, no. I absolutely know. And I wrote 2 dissertations about the marketing budget.
Dissertations.
Yeah.
All right.
My master's degree.
Do you still have one of those?
Hopefully.
Or has your dog eaten it?
How long would it? How long
I hope
would it?
Not, because that would be on my computer. I just have to go through my files, see if I can find.
I was gonna have you read it, but it's probably too long and too boring. So both of those.
Yeah, it's heads up. When I write professionally, it's not that fun. Although I am writing something right now about VR technology and how horror is going to be the genre that pushes
it totally
VR technology.
Totally is.
And I'm writing something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to. Once I finish writing, I want to see if I can get it published on Gamma Sutra or something.
You want horror elements in every game. For VR is fantastic. We'll talk about VR on a future podcast, I think.
But back to Cyberpunk.
That's right. Well, Cyberpunk's very VR related.
Cyberpunk in VR, because Cyberpunk is a first-person game.
Yep. Eventually.
I mean, people modded GTA before.
The VR tech's not there yet. To be super. It's not quite there. It's almost there.
I mean, there's Skyrim in VR. There's Fallout in VR. There's GTA in VR.
They're not designed for it, and the visual quality's not quite there. I think it will be in 10 years.
I think visually the best VR games though are the Paranormal Activity one.
They're all
and
rail
Onward.
like stuff, right? There's no choices. You're on a rail because it's
No, you're not. You're not really on a rail. For Paranormal Activity, you're in a house and you go around the house and you have to find things to solve puzzles. But you can do it around different ways. I mean, there are some
it's
things,
not
like the
it's
door's
not going to
gonna
work
open.
for a game like Cyberpunk that has a whole bunch of different options and stuff. It's just
I mean,
it's not there yet. That's my point.
It could.
You want you want the future to be now, and it's not.
Guys, stop bitching at each other.
No,
No,
that's the
I'll
whole
pitch.
podcast.
You made your point. Anyway, I just want to make a point about the first person aspect of it, because I know a lot of people are really nervous with it's just like, oh, it's an RPG, but it's exclusively from a first person perspective, as some people were reporting it, and that was making some people nervous. But I love the way they've shown to be using it, like the whole instances of the hands coming into play, like the quest where you go to save the woman who's in the bathtub, and you can see you're using your hands to pull out the
I mean, you see a lot more than
chip
that.
that's interfering with it, and not to mention that you have the your friend chuck you a like a hypo or something to administer to her, and you look up, raise your hand and see it, and then catch it and administer it to her. That was just like some really nice little touches that really seem to be using the first person perspective. But I cannot tell you how relieved I was when I saw that there was an option whilst driving to go into third person, because if I had to put up with another first person driving segment, I would have screamed.
I can't handle that. I don't like first person anywhere near as much as I like third person, but
Well-
mostly for being around. Tucker, do not send me any more crap, because it brings up an audio clip that I have to edit out. And
Oh no, there's no audio in this.
yes, but my monitor audio is because that, and then I had to edit it out on my mic, and I know you're not paying attention. But anyway, as far as the reason I don't like first person as much is because you're really limited in your vision, and people will talk about how it brings you more into the game. It actually brings me out of the game, because if there's a dude standing right on your hip attacking you, you can't see him. And yeah, you can have a screen flashing thing, but it won't flash until they're hitting you. It's just it pulls me out. I prefer the third person view where you can see to both sides. You get a much better view, just because I don't play video games to be limited in my vision and stuff.
To be fair, there may be an upgrade later on in the game where you can get that sort of third person thing. We don't
That'd
know.
be creepy.
Yeah, I don't think it will be, but it's
Oh.
possible.
Well, don't forget, like, bringing it back to BioWare and Anthem, all of the cutscenes are in first person, but the mech suit stuff is all in third person. So who knows?
Yeah,
They might
I don't
implement something
mind.
like that.
I don't mind first. It's actually I kind of like first person if it's not an action related game. If you're just exploring and stuff, it's phenomenal. But if you're being attacked from the side,
I feel like whenever I think of like pure first-person games, I think of Far Cry and Halo, or not Halo, Half-Life, because those are purely first-person. No matter what, you're always in first-person. Even when you get in a vehicle, cutscenes, everything is pure first-person, and I like that.
okay, it's definitely a preference
Except
thing.
for, like, I totally agree. It's just that fuck all of the driving segments in any Far Cry game. It's, oh my god, the driving in first person is the worst.
Well, I mean, it's just like a dating profile where it's a few feet wider than you expected.
You're skinny as a rake. I would hate to see what you actually look like in person.
Just break it down into slams on each other. Way to go, Seeker. You're turning into me. Anyway, how excited are you guys for this game?
Super excited. Can I just also give praise, because I love there actually seems to be a lot of diversity of the characters as well. Oh god, what was the name of your friend? Was it Jackie? I don't know, the big Latino guy who was cool. I like him. I wouldn't, and the guy who was with the gang. Why can't I remember any goddamn names today? He was cool too, and Dum Dum, was that his name? The guy who gave you sold you the spider bot. Either way, it seems like there's actually really interesting characters, and the Splicer was cool as well. Slicer, whatever his name was.
We're gonna get into that.
They all just seemed like really cool, like proper noir / cyberpunk a lot of caricatures, like archetypes. And I like that they seem to be all interweaving and getting a narrative going, and it makes it feel like a real breathable world. And I'm so excited for this game.
Tucker is not excited for this game. We've been over that.
I mean, I'm going to get the game.
Okay, you're like me with Anthem, where I'm going to get it, but I'm not quite excited for it.
I want to be proven wrong. And I can very much see the appeal for this game. But
so we're actually quite in line with that and me and Anthem. Yeah.
I feel like I'm going to play the game for a bit. I'll kind of enjoy it, but it's not going to be something that consistently brings me back like other games do.
I know full well I'm going to lose about 600 hours of my life to this game.
600. If there's a lot of replayability, I can totally see going through and doing something completely different. Yeah. It's going to have the gameplay that goes along with it. And while I disagree with Tucker that it's going to be too easy because that's a demo, if the gameplay doesn't hold me, I don't put more hours into it than I have to.
I hate the stigma about playing on easy. It's like, let people play however they want to play. And
play how you want to play. Yeah. Absolutely. No, it's not a bad thing to have a game being too easy, especially if you're more of a narrative-driven person. Mm-hmm. And if you want to just go through for the story, you should be able to do that.
Playing a game is vastly different than watching it. That's the thing that's most unique about the gaming industry compared to any other form of entertainment is
the interactive
watching
side
a
of it.
trailer. Yeah, it's the interactivity. And that's also, again, going a bit back to VR, that's a big thing with VR is you can watch someone play VR, that is nothing at all like actually playing VR.
Well, okay, it sounds like we need a VR podcast for later, though, because we're dragging sideways.
I do feel like, again, like Cyberpunk, it'll be different when you play it.
Probably.
And like I've gotten to play a little bit of Anthem. I got to move around a little areas.
Are you allowed to say that, or do I need to edit that out?
I'm being extremely vague. I can do that. Okay. While I was at EA, I gotta do a little bit of that, but. And with that, and I'm still enjoying it, but I haven't touched at all Cyberpunk 2077, so it could be like I'm watching it and going, meh, but then when I play, it could be completely different. Like I would
have to say that I would like it more, if it was a different. Like we're getting into why Cyberpunk creeps me the fuck out. like the more modded you get into your adding mods to your body, that shit creeps me out.
Well, did you see there was actually a negative stat, which is you have like -10 humanity for every mod you get?
I think there's something in the actual tabletop game called like cyber psychosis, which if you over mod yourself, you actually go crazy. Mm-hmm. So
I do kind of like that because that's kind of like in Fallout or something like that. If you do too many of the drugs, you get an addiction to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this something like
messes you up.
I don't mind cybernetic stuff like limbs, but if you get anything in my brain or in my face, that freaks me out. Yeah, my eye. I don't want a cyber eye.
Well, you literally have like eye surgery in the demo, so that was pretty.
So how'd you feel with Dead Space 2?
That freaked me out.
Oh, here, sure, let's just jam this giant as hell needle in your eye. Why not?
In all fairness...
And if you mess that up, that is one of the most gruesome deaths.
I think in all fairness, Cyberpunk as a genre, which you can actually trace back to a specific thing, it's supposed to be creepy. Just more people thought it was cool.
Did you know that there is a line of... Let me just say this, because this is a little thing I found out that I wanted to share on the podcast to actually give the impression that someone does research around here.
Screw you, by the way. I do lots of research.
I do research where it matters.
You don't.
You don't.
Go ahead.
There's a hostile psycho NPC that shouts, "Du blir lust fra banda som bin deg," which my accent is probably atrocious, but that is Norwegian for "you will be freed from the ties that bind you." I thought that was a cool little thing, and I was going to bring that up. Oh, and also, speaking of the tabletop game, the ambulance that turned up, once again, the exact term of which I can't remember, that is explicitly from the game as well.
Speaking of the creepy aspect, which I was trying to get into before I was cut off, which I'm actually, I'm going to redo that. That was mean. This is a podcast about cutting people off.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it really is. Speaking of the creepy aspect, I think Cyberpunk was designed to be creepy, like I said, because I gotta go reread Neuromancer, which is the actual, like, you can say, hey, this is where Cyberpunk started with this novel that came out in '84, and get into that. But the mods thing, that'll freak me out. By the way, I asked people what kind of mods they would want. What's the craziest mod? What's the craziest mod you two would do to yourself?
I would love to have like the equivalent of a Babelfish in The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where you could just have, I guess it would be software, but something that basically translates anything you hear or see.
I don't.
So
you don't need a mod for that, right? I guess you could put it in your head.
Yeah, you know what I mean. It's just like something that automatically translates and gives you the capacity to speak any language at all. That would be interesting. But it's not really wacky. What's the wackiest thing? The wackiest thing I would probably have.
Peter Brady wants extra thumbs.
I would like a detachable nose, so when I play with kids with like got your nose, I can scare the crap out of them.
I'm just going to be like totally self-indulgent. I'm going to say that I would give a mod that allows me to grow or shorten my hair depending on my mood, change color, whatever, just anything, any hairstyle I want to have, I can concentrate hard on it and shape it a little bit, but then it will be exactly the hair I want. So I can go for those really awesome like mohawks and punk styles.
How about the rarest of mods, something that can actually let me get a good 8 hours of sleep?
Oh, you can probably stim yourself to that. By the way, I asked people to write in what kind of crazy mods they wanted, so I got a bunch. Katie has a cool one. She wants small LCD screens on her fingernails, so she can like do different nail art.
That's cool.
That actually sounds really cool. Hagen Tracy wants a vending machine in his arm so we can get a drink whenever.
But what would the
how big is his arm, man?
But you have to refill it though.
Yeah.
I know.
And you can only store like one at a time.
You would need like some serious guns, and they wouldn't be useful because they just have like drinks in them. And unless you're totally ripped. Well, I'm thinking like you can get one, like 12, 20 ounce drink in there, and that's it. It sounds cool, but it's more like having like a cooler with you than a vending machine, unless you want the full thing.
I mean, the size of my arms, you could get like maybe a shot in there.
By the way, Lex Griffiths wrote in separately, but this would have to go with the vending machine. He wants a mod that shuts off his bladder during movies.
Or, wait, what if you could control the bladder of other people?
See,
why
now
would
that's
you want to do that?
That's the creepiest thing about these mods and why I don't want to get hacked and have like if you could hack someone's arm, like if it has Wi-Fi or something, you could make people punch themselves in the balls. I don't want to be punched in the balls by myself.
You could recreate the Evil Dead. The Evil Dead 2.
I would love to have the ability to control other people's bladders, because that would be so fun.
Yeah, this shouldn't exist.
Do you know how much like you could mess with people?
Yeah, I know why. It's messed up but funny.
Themselves. Like, Jesus, why would you want to do that?
I think I would like to give my nipples a function, because my nipples have no function.
Well, my nipples have a function.
Yes, but mine don't. So I want them to do something stupid, like they could each do something different. Like one of them could spray out like good smelling perfume, and the other could have a sound effect.
And then what about your middle one?
I don't have a middle nipple. I could add one though, like a soap dispenser or something.
Oh my god, technology and body modification is wasted on you two, I swear to God.
What? These are awesome ideas. Tucker.
I'm going out with a laugh.
This is the weirdest stuff. Like I said, anything in my head I don't want to do, because I don't want to do a D-bag like Tucker to hack my head and make me do stupid stuff. Which like in the future, I don't think modifications in the head, I don't think that's going to be a thing in the future. Because the security is just too much.
Well, to be fair, in the Cyberpunk universe, there's that guy who, I think it's on a plane or something, and he's plugged in, and he gets hacked, and they literally fry his brain.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, yeah, maybe not quite to that extent, but...
That's what I mean. Like, if I'm going to have any modifications, they got to be hardwired into my brain and only accessible by my brain.
I would appreciate something akin to the upload system from The Matrix. So if I want to learn anything, I can just literally upload it to my brain. But there would be like a relatively It seems to be a relatively simple thing in universe, considering people have access to, like, they're literally putting chips in their heads. So I'm guessing that's relatively straightforward.
But that could really, you could upload a virus into somebody and really mess them up.
I think it'd be pretty cool to have like a USB as one of your fingers.
Why?
So you can just like transfer information around. They're like,
You want to be freaking RoboCop with the little spike.
But you don't need it to be in your finger. I mean, you could put that anywhere.
Considering like the USB, they literally in Cyberpunk they have the USB ports in their wrist, so you already have that.
All right, so here's the one thing. You can, by the way, you can email us at accidentallycasual@gmail.com for questions and stuff. Max Curtis asks, although it's more common in movies than games, stories set in the near future have a tendency to become incredibly dated by the time we reach the year in which they are set. And Cyberpunk is by no means a calculated prediction of the future, but how embarrassingly inaccurate do you predict it will be in the year 2077? I view it a lot like steampunk, where it was this is how some people thought the future would go, with like crazy hot air balloons and stuff like that, and it was wrong, but that's how they view that. And you can go back and have like a steampunk genre. Cyberpunk's going to be a lot like that. There's no way that they're headed in this direction. In my opinion, there are going to be some similar stuff, but you could view it as that. Unlike, like novels, like the novel or short story 1984, that's not a thing. We're actually just getting to that now, as technology-wise.
Well, just look at movies that were 60 years ago that are sci-fi, like The Day the Earth Stood Still, or War of the Worlds, or something like that.
But he's talking specifically dated ones, like A Space Odyssey, 2001. That one is actually scarily accurate. But it's not 2001, dude. That's Max Curtis's main point.
Dude, it predicted geosynchronous orbit.
I know, but that
was incredible.
It's not. Well, first of all, I'm pretty sure there was geosynchronous orbit back then, wasn't it? It was like in the 60s.
No.
You sure? I swear that's a 60s movie. But the base is that's not going to be a thing until probably 50 years from now. It was off by about 60 years, which is exactly Max Curtis's point. I think we're looking at an alternate future. Seeker, go ahead.
What I'd love to do is just bring up this email from Eleanor Hogan, who emailed in to say, you need to mention Jade Empire. It is so very BioWare. If by any chance you haven't played this, I would like to have your heart ripped out and then patched up with tape put back. You need to play Jade Empire. I think I'm the only one of the three of us that's actually played Jade Empire.
I had that email down. We're not done talking about Cyberpunk yet.
Oh, I wanted to bring up Jade Empire to say that Jade Empire is amazing. Everyone should go play. It's actually, I've got it. It's backwards compatible on Xbox.
I thought she was saying if you want to feel like you've had your heart ripped out and then patched up with tape and then put back in, you need to play it. That's not a very good. I don't want to tape up my heart. That's weird.
It was actually the first correct me if I'm wrong. Certainly on consoles, it was the first thing to introduce, first BioWare game to introduce same-sex romance. But here's the thing: when you had the big kiss at the culmination of the romance, for the straight couples, you could have the kiss. They showed the kiss, but for the gay couples, it would hit a hard black screen, and it's like, are you fucking serious?
Baby steps. Baby steps.
Yeah, I know.
I think you're right.
Steps. I think someone's got a mod to get rid of it, so that's good. But it is a really good game, and there's actually some terrific nuance to the characters, and Nathan Fillion is actually in it as Gal the Lesser, who's a very minor character in the story, but I was blown away that that's Nathan Fillion.
All right, so we're done talking about Cyberpunk, is what you're saying?
I was going to say that's me wrapping up Jade Empire, because I just wanted to talk about Jade Empire.
Here's a weird question. When do you guys think this game's going to come out? Cyberpunk.
Oh, God.
In the year 2076.
That would suck.
I would say...
I'm going to be dead then.
It would be very amusing if it did come out in 2020. That would have a nice bit of symmetry to it. Considering they don't seem... It's certainly not releasing this year. I would be very surprised if it's releasing next year, but the year after that is 2020. So I'm going to put that's going to be my bet. I'm going to cautiously bet that it comes out in 2020.
When 2020?
Oh God, like March 2020.
Okay, that's actually probably a really good prediction. I expect they're
Oh
shooting
no,
for.
they have the release date announced.
No, they don't.
Yeah, they do.
What is it? Let me.
October 7th, 2019.
I was
Yeah,
going
we're
to say
just
they're going to go for that, but I didn't think that was officially announced. Cyberpunk remains unconfirmed, Tucker. You liar. Was that a joke?
Liar.
Because that was a terrible joke that just brought the podcast to a halt. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, still the better one was when I messed with you and BioFan about the Mass Effect beta.
Tucker, that wasn't even a good joke. That was just a terrible joke. I mean, it was stupid. It derailed the podcast worse than you've ever done before. And it's not, I mean, it's going to be funny to like two people. So congratulations if you're chuckling at that. I expect they're actually shooting for around that date, but they're going to end up releasing it midway through 2020.
I'm
You
guessing.
know what
holiday-
I'd
Tucker,
love-
you
guessing
lost
holiday
your prediction.
2019.
You lost your prediction.
Ow.
You know what I would love if not only did they release it in 2020, but like if they did like a collector's edition or something, it actually came with a tabletop game as well. Like you could pay a bit extra and you could get
Jesus
the tabletop
Christ, that-
game.
I expect they're going to,
That would be-
they might do that. Yeah.
That would be cool. Like more people should get into tabletop.
I was thinking, hey, let's play the tabletop game for a podcast. And
Yes.
then I realized
I would
that
totally do that.
there's no way we're getting to the same location.
Oh no, we'll do this.
What do you?
Dude,
It's going to
dude,
cost
I
somebody
played-
like $1,000 to fly across the pond.
Minius, honey, I play pretty much every week. I play D&D with a bunch of guys in America using Roll20 and Discord. It's really easy to actually play D&D over the
Okay.
internet.
Do you want us to play Cyberpunk 2020 or
I would
2077
say
the game for a podcast?
I'm going to commit to this now. I would actually love to run a Dragon Age one-shot with you guys because there is a Dragon Age tabletop game
Hold on.
made
I
by
got
Green
this.
Ronin, and I know the rules.
And we don't, and
And,
you're going to crush us.
Oh no, it's just the thing is that because that's the thing. It's going to be difficult for you guys because I could weave in narrative aspects that would in the universe of the Dragon Age or of the Dragon Age characters have a big impact. But you guys don't know a thing about Theta, so like, oh, I guess that's a thing. I'm like, no, there's gonna be like an earth-shattering revelation here.
I'm way better than Tucker about Dragon Age. I mean, I've played the games, so
Yeah.
I mean, I looked at the case. It's a
yeah,
nice case.
that's a nice case. It tells you everything you need to know. It's that shallow of a
Tucker,
universe.
if we ever meet in person, I'm going to punch you in the arm.
Oh.
Just as revenge for all those times you've refused to play Dragon Age.
I don't refuse to do it. It's just I just
You
have so
refused
much.
to do it.
By the way,
I'm
this is
going to play it.
This is a timely email now because Tucker's been fucking with us for like the last 5 minutes. A Fane Goat wrote in and say, "Hey guys, I have waited forever for you two to be back, and I'm supposing he's cutting you out, Seeker.
Yeah,
But
well, I get it because you
Yeah.
guys were the two on the previous podcast.
However-
I understand.
We have a giant problem. I wrote to you two guys on your last Andromeda's podcast, and he says God King Tucker never addressed what his punishment will be for Minius and BioFan for their insolence. We need to rectify that, for his name is Tucker, and he walks among us." And he signs
Tucker.
off, "Praise be to Tucker."
Yeah.
A Fane Goat, you are out of your mind. There is no way Tucker.
He may be out of his mind, but he's in my heart.
Tucker punishes us every week by being on the show.
That's what I was going to say.
Well, some people are into that. Some people are into the punishment thing. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I'm not.
Wow, that was
Yeah.
almost an admission there, Minius.
No, I'm not. I don't enjoy Tucker and his shit.
Oh,
I
you enjoy me.
I enjoy yelling at you, but that's my reaction to it. So okay, maybe I do. All right, you can also email in game suggestions to accidentallycasual@gmail.com. This is where I was going to mention Eleanor Hogan's Jade Empire thing. That is actually officially a BioWare game. We're looking for BioWare like games. Chiquiko.
But that's the thing. A lot of people forget Jade Empire because it sort of gets swept under the rug. It also has John Cleese is in it as well, who I just remembered as this very pompous, obnoxious guy who's like, "Oh, you backwoods savages, we're gonna come over. Me from the they have like, an analogy for the British Empire are gonna come over there and civilize you, and you get to debate him, and if you win the debate, you get his blunderbuss." called Mirabelle, which is why there's usually a joke. Like there's a joke in Dragon Age 2 where Varric says about his crossbow Bianca. It's like, oh, Mirabelle was taken. It's like, oh, yay, continuity and BioWare references.
I think one of the reasons that Jade Empire doesn't get mentioned more is it was an exclusive Xbox released, original Xbox,
and it also
right?
hasn't gotten a sequel, which I would love for them to go back to the franchise.
I think you can play it on PC now, but...
Yeah, like I said, it's backwards compatible on Xbox. So yeah, if you do have an Xbox I think you can get it on Xbox One, but I definitely had it on 360 as backwards compatible, so it should be fine.
All right, Seeker loves Jade Empire, and Tucker and I have no idea what's going on.
Somebody hit me up and talked to me about Jade Empire. I love it.
There-
Biofan played it actually like recently. He was tweeting about it, and I was like, yeah, it's so good.
Actually, right now with me being in between jobs, I have Jade Empire. I'll give that one a try.
I have a backlog, but I'm thinking, and we mentioned this early on, we would like to do a gaming book club, and Jade Empire is easily a nominatable thing. In fact, next week on the show, we're gonna come up with suggestions for what should be our first game club game.
Yeah. And we'll give each other like a month or something,
Yeah.
like a rough month. To like have
It's gonna have to be more than that, but
yeah.
But we'll come up with something. All right.
Like not to power through the whole story, but to get a feel of it, and we can like report back. So we can do it like over like maybe like a 2 podcast thing.
All right, I think
so. Like we report like our initial thoughts of it, like once we've all played a bit of it.
Well, I was
then
hoping
once we've beaten the
to
story.
get people into it, like have the listeners play along and play the whole thing.
Oh, that would be cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I wanted
I'd
to
love
go
to hear
for.
that.
So listen next week on the show. That's something we're going to cover.
And we can have polls about the choices
Yeah,
people
absolutely.
made, and then scream, "What is wrong with you people?" And quite frequently, I imagine.
Anyway, Chiquiko said the Wing Commander series, which I have not played, had a lot of BioWare elements in it.
I
It
haven't played
sounds
it, but
really familiar.
Have you
Wasn't,
guys played Wing Commander?
It
I
sounds
have not.
really
But
familiar.
wasn't Mark Hamill in like the most recent one they did? I can't
It's
remember.
possible.
But I swear I heard that.
The original Wing Commander was 1990, which I believe neither of you were born yet, and I was really little.
I was 94.
Yeah, so you weren't born yet, which is my point. Tucker, when are you coming out?
Okay, that's a bit personal, isn't it?
Of the closet? What are you talking about? What?
Okay, that didn't work at all. Pedro Mello wants us to talk a little bit about No Man's Sky
I'm
next.
confused.
That's not really. I think that wouldn't be a game in our wheelhouse. No Man's. Have you guys played that? The update?
No, I haven't.
No, I like to stick to decent games.
You know what? It's not fair because they.
Oh, shame.
No Man's Sky. They didn't have the money to give them enough time to make that game. And
they
it
also
got
didn't have a game
overhyped.
to make that game.
Yeah, No Man's Sky is honestly just like a can of worms. Have you guys ever played Undertale?
No.
No?
Because I've never played Undertale. Like, I feel like I'm the only person on the internet that hasn't played Undertale.
No.
So I'm stunned that you guys haven't played it
I
either.
don't really
so
have
I
any
think we
interest in
should
it.
definitely do Undertale.
Okay.
Considering from what I've heard, it sounds terrific, and I would love to give it a go. So I think we could totally recommend that.
Yeah,
for the book club as
I
well.
need to look into that more. Anyway, with No Man's Sky, I like playing that because I kept on picturing it being combined with Destiny into an amazing game. Because neither Destiny or No Man's Sky is an amazing game. But if you were able to mesh those perfectly together, it would be fantastic.
If you mesh them together, do you get a story?
Yeah, but you need a real story. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm just making sure. I mean, I want to give No Man's Sky a try. I've heard the updates have actually really improved No Man's Sky. So
I've only played the updated version, and it's definitely a playable game.
As someone who doesn't have the greatest opinion of Destiny 2, they just released the Forsaken expansion where they killed the most charming, likable character and had you go seek revenge for him. So that's why I said R.I.P. Cade 6 earlier. But they killed him, and the character they got to kill him, you had to then track him down, kill his barons, and enact revenge. And I just finished watching my partner play through it, and I gotta say, the story was actually like weirdly compelling because they actually managed, because Cade 6 was such a fleshed out character and voiced most of the time brilliantly by Nathan Fillion. And I come across as like a real Nathan Fillion fangirl, but I swear it's just because he's been Cade 6 recently. But Nolan North actually did the Forsaken stuff.
Oh, did he? They didn't. That's why they killed him off then, right? Because they couldn't.
Cade 6, yeah, but well, yeah, who knows?
They couldn't
but
afford
he
him
said that it was
anymore.
like they said it was like a scheduling thing, but he seems to just really enjoy it. I mean, considering that game has actually a high class roster of cast members on the sly.
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just didn't
and,
they didn't do enough with those characters, and they killed off their only character. So, last one, and this is going to be, we're going to look at this in my stupid BioLike games meter. Camillicus said that Assassin's Creed Odyssey is by far the most BioWare game coming out soon.
I would agree. I would agree that it's considering it's like there are definitely fantastical elements now. They're being a lot more upfront about the fantastical elements of it. Bear in mind they've released some gameplay of Medusa, and at the end of the trailer, the original trailer, they had a Minotaur in it. So there's definitely fantastical elements, and there's branching choices,
branching dialogue,
and romance, which is the first. I'm trying to think of another, because they had established relationships in Assassin's Creed before. I haven't played all of them. I've played a bunch of them. I'm playing Origins at the moment, and the main character is a loving relationship with his wife. But this is the first time you're making active choices in who your character romances.
I have not been into Assassin's Creed games because I didn't really like the gameplay or the premise.
My favorites were the Ezio games, like especially Brotherhood.
The Ezio trilogy?
Yeah, but especially Brotherhood.
I didn't realize this until I did my channel, but nobody gives a shit about gameplay. I really do. And I could not handle those games. I mean, I played only the original Assassin's Creed 2, which was fine, but
there was a terrific improvement between 2 and Brotherhood.
I heard there wasn't, so I didn't.
Oh well, I thought.
I have got to say, with the Assassin's Creed series, the very first one, fuck getting all those flags.
Oh god, yes.
My god, that took so long.
That is the worst.
Never
and not
played
to mention, like, because I went back, I played some of the sequels and then thought, I think it was like discounted on the marketplace or whatever, so I was like, oh, I'll pick up Assassin's Creed 1. And I started playing it, and I was trying to implement features they introduced in the sequels, and oh my god, it was driving me crazy. Like, those beggars, like, go away! Wanted to scream in their face.
How about the BioLike meter that I like I'm trying to make
like
work?
I said, you got
story branches.
Definitely AAA, yeah.
Story
AAA.
branches, yes. Conversation branches.
Yes.
RPG.
Yes.
Single player.
Yes.
Major release game.
Yeah.
Yes.
A focus on characters.
Yes.
They're gonna at least try. We'll see if they pull it off.
Yeah.
Deep and hardcore sci-fi or fantasy universe.
Yes.
This is the only. I give this a no.
Well, considering that you're explicitly time traveling through your DNA to access the memories.
Handle that.
You're explicitly accessing the memories of your ancestors through quote science, and there's fantastical elements to it. So it's a science fantasy.
But what I mean by deep and hardcore sci-fi or fantasy, and this is why I wanted to bring this up, it's either not on Earth, or way in the future. Like, for instance, Dragon Age is on Thetis, right?
Let's class it as like historical fantasy for now.
It is, but I don't think that qualifies enough, in my opinion.
All right, if you're your arbitrary holder of the rules here, so yeah.
Well, I mean, I feel like that doesn't really count as sci-fi either, and I think they've even have holy crap, English language. I think they've expressed that Odyssey is not really going to have that time traveling thing. It's mainly
they've definitely been stepping away from it.
It's going to have, because it's stupid. I hate genetic memory. That's not a thing.
Well, I mean, once they killed,
it's very stupid.
Once they killed Desmond, it just doesn't make sense.
Genetic memory is not a thing. It's stupid. Mm-hmm. It doesn't. You don't have that.
No.
You don't have detailed of all your ancestors.
To be fair, like there isn't like precursor gods on our planet. So who's to say in the world of Assassin's Creed?
I suppose so.
There aren't genetic memories.
Yeah, it's an alternate Earth, and they have some fantasy elements. So it's not
exactly.
It's not a fantasy game, but it's not a hardcore sci-fi fantasy game.
That's why I was saying
my
it's
opinion.
Science fantasy.
It's kind of like a light fantasy game, which I would not qualify. By the way, we're going to rate future games on the scale as they come out.
Okay.
I feel like we need to expand the BioWare meter.
We are continuously expanding it.
It seems like a lot a lot of games are falling into that.
Okay.
shouldn't.
Well, that'll be a good topic. In fact, next week we're going to talk about what we like in games and other stuff, and this is a good time for all this stuff to come up. Anyway, it's story-driven. We don't know.
It does seem to be story driven.
It looks like they're trying.
They've said there's choices, there's elements playing up between you being a Spartan and all the historical figures of the time and the war between different cultures, especially like the Athenian cities, not Athenian city-states, but Greek city-states rather, definitely seems to be a thing. So yeah, I would say it's story-driven.
Well, we're going to see. I think it's got a good chance.
Yeah, that will show, but from what we've seen, they've shown so far, yeah.
Create your own character.
Yes, you can choose between a male or a female
and
character.
get your look.
First time in the series.
This really doesn't look like an Assassin's
What about
Creed
Syndicate?
game.
But wait, in Syndicate, couldn't you choose
Syndicate was
between...
you had two protagonists and you switched between them depending, I believe, what chapter you were playing. So it was like twin brother and sister, and sometimes you would play as the brother and sometimes you would play as the sister. Whereas this is straight from the get-go. You were either Cassandra is the female character, or I am blanking on what the male character is called. But yes, you choose which gender you are going to play as.
This game is squad-based, yes?
No.
No, it is not.
No.
That is the first hard no we've gotten.
Some of the early Assassin's Creeds were.
Really?
No, this one isn't.
Oh, one of the
This is
earlier
very much
ones.
dependent on your on you.
Yeah, like Brotherhood was. I mean, you had.
Well, you
groups
didn't
that you
get
could call in.
didn't get your actual like assassin group until about 2/3 the way through the game.
I would say they're not squad-based, but I've also only played
Yeah.
one of the games, and there's like 50 of them. So
Yeah, I would say they're not.
I wouldn't say it's squad based.
yeah, it is.
No, not
Hard no
squad-based.
on that. And the final
Yeah,
one,
hard no.
there's romance.
There is romance.
That's correct.
Explicitly same-sex romance as well. So it's like yes.
So that is
option.
extremely high on my BioLike games meter. And in case you're wondering why I have that, that is games that we're trying to focus on in the podcast. Mm-hmm. And I disagree with Tucker about all these games fitting it because you guys are way too liberal with it. But next podcast,
No, again,
next
I would
podcast, we're going to get into why Tucker doesn't like my ways of rating BioWare games.
Well, no, I feel like we need to have more specifics because I feel like
you know what, you're probably not wrong.
games-
This is a work in progress, like I've said.
Yeah. Okay.
So anyway, final topic as we're wrapping up. We're around a minute or over an hour. What games have you guys been playing?
I am still on Persona 5 at the moment because I am pushing for a. It's a long game, but here's the thing: you have a limited amount of time, and at the moment I'm on my new game plus. So that means you get to keep your money and your stats. Bear in mind, that, like I said, because of a limited time, it's like okay, so I can choose to improve my relationship with this person and get a gameplay bonus that I'm chasing, or I can try and get my stats up to improve my relationship with another character, or I can chase other things. So there's like it feels like on your first playthrough, your time is constantly being torn.
Yeah.
Whereas because now I'm going in with the new game plus, I'm going in with my stats maxed out, so I've got a little bit more wiggle room. So I'm definitely appreciating my second playthrough, especially knowing like some of the twists later in the game. I'm now picking up on a lot more of the foreshadowing and the trajectory of the characters in it the writing in it is so good, and I wish more people played it.
Because my mom is here, I haven't really been playing many games, but I did play the Batman Telltale series.
Oh god, I need to finish that because I played the first series and I started the second series.
Do the first one. Ignore the second one. It's trash. It's trash.
I was actually I got like
trash.
2 episodes in and I was really like appreciating the direction they were coming in for how they were doing.
No.
John
No.
Doe.
First off, John Doe, he's the Joker. Stop calling him John Doe.
He is John Doe.
Also,
He's not Joker yet.
The pinnacle thing between Harley Quinn and Joker's relationship is Joker being this abusive asshole to her, and that is the pinnacle thing of their relationship, or that's the hugest thing about their relationship. And one of the biggest thing about Joker's character is even someone who loves him unconditionally, he still doesn't care for, and that's part of Joker's character. as well as Harley's character is this person who's been through all this abuse, and in the comics they've actually made her go out of the abuse. They've made her grow up out of it and become this great person. And in this, they completely ruin that by making Harley the abusive one and Joker's the little
She's
bitch.
been the abusive one in her origin story in the animated series. He never treated her well. And that was kind of her thing.
But this way, as far
No,
as
but
Harley
it's
Quinn goes,
in this, Harley Quinn is the abusive one,
with
not
Telltale,
Joker.
they're not trying to do necessarily the definitive version of these characters.
Well, that's obvious.
Well, the bit this way is like they're all like slightly different, like slightly tweaked versions of the characters. Like Penguin in the first series is nowhere close to the squat.
No, also
like
what was with that too? And also they killed the Riddler.
Oh yeah,
right
like in the first episode,
right off, they killed the Riddler.
I love that. That was great.
These characters are never dead in comic book stuff.
The first episode is kind of good, and Telltale has great games like The Walking Dead and Wolf Among Us. Those were fantastic, but Batman is just a big styling, like, big piece of poop.
Tucker
disagree.
doesn't like that.
I hard disagree with that one. Not to mention that, something from Telltale, something everyone should goddamn play because it's brilliant, and is the Borderlands. The Telltale Borderlands games, because they are so good, and
too.
they didn't do that much business, and I wish they did because and if anyone out there likes cute characters, Gortys is the cutest character. I wish I could adopt her and keep her forever. You will not regret having Gortys in your collective knowledge.
All right.
Just go play the Telltale games.
I 100% promise you that I will not play Telltale games. I cannot handle those games.
Even like The Walking Dead, the first season.
I hate quick.
Holy crap!
I hate QuickTime events.
The Telltale games follow
I hate
the BioWare
QuickTime
thing.
events so much. I hate them. I can't do it. I can't do it. I lasted 10 minutes in the only Telltale game I played. I could not do it. I hate it.
But it follows the BioWare thing.
I hate that. I cannot play games that I don't like the gameplay, and I absolutely hate QuickTime events. And that's all they are. That's it.
Well, they're not for everyone, but
I'm not playing any of those games. I refuse to. If we choose that as a game club game, I'm not going to play it. All right, what I've been playing Spider-Man.
I wish I had Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah, wait,
I will be
how
getting
is that?
Spider-Man.
I enjoy all Spider-Man games more than I should, but it's definitely worth playing if you like comic book games.
Does that include the Amazing Spider-Man?
I didn't actually play that one.
That was
By the way,
terrible.
the problem with Spider-Man games is they used to be made by Activision, and Activision did not give a shit and just cranked out crap games after crap games. This game is not made by Activision.
Well, the problem is...
It is...
Well, Spider-Man, you have to get the swinging
right.
The
swinging works.
I think the last Spider-Man game I played that I really loved was Spider-Man 2. For the tie-in game they did.
Yeah,
for
which
the
is
Sam Raimi
one of the
movie.
only good movie games ever made, and that's a phenomenal Spider-Man
And not
game.
to mention the guy. Did you guys know that the guy who's actually the narrator, your tutorial narrator in that game, is Bruce freaking Campbell?
Yep.
And I was like, that's amazing. I only realized like years later in
Really?
hindsight.
You didn't realize that?
I was like 10. I hadn't seen any of the Evil Deads. I had no idea who he was. Yeah.
So wait, what? You said that what game was the only good
Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man, same Raimi.
I said, did I say
the
the only? I said one of the only. I'm sure there's another one out there.
One of the only, yeah.
Because, there's also GoldenEye and X-Men Wolverine.
Well, I don't think that's quite
X-Men Wolverine was trash.
It was not trash.
No,
it just wasn't.
No, the movie, the Origins was terrible.
Yeah, the game was actually kind of fun.
Sorry, for Origins Wolverine.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you were talking about like the X2 one they did like yonks ago.
No.
But like I haven't played
the
the
Lego
Origins one, so I will rescind my comment on that.
The Lego movie video game.
I haven't. The Lego games are sort of.
But that's already said, and I'm not going to count that. They already had that there.
Godfather.
I've never played The Godfather.
I don't know if that counts because it came out like
great.
40 years after the movie, and mostly the reason video game movies are terrible is movies take 2 years to make, video games take at least 3.
Alien Isolation.
That was a separate thing. My sister was previously working at Creative Assembly, and she joined pretty much just after they shipped Alien Isolation. So she got like a free copy, and I was like,
Anyway, Spider-Man, I think it's...
The Harry Potter video
games,
games,
those are terrible.
And the Friday the 13th
You keep on bringing up terrible games. Stop doing that.
it was currently wrapped up
Friday
in like
13th video
legal
game?
proceedings
It's-
because no one knows who has the rights to
Yeah.
Jason Voorhees.
All right. I don't like those games, but as far as Spider-Man goes, I haven't played all of it yet, obviously, although I think I'm afraid that I'm close to the end. The story might set it above Spider-Man 2, but I like Spider-Man 2 a little bit better. But they're very close to each other. So if you like
I have
Spider-Man
been
2,
waiting desperately for a decent version of Felicia Hardy, the Black Cat. She is one of my favorite characters, and I think it's because she's considered too similar to Catwoman to put in any of the movies. But I'm very, very keen to see, because I know she's got a bit of DLC coming out soon.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
heist.
so I'm very intrigued to see that.
go rewatch the 90s series because Jennifer Hale voices.
Yeah, Jennifer Hale.
Yeah.
Dude, I did say with the BioWare thing that I had my sexual awakening with women was one of the
Yeah,
head
that's right.
girls voiced by Jennifer Hale, and Felicia Hardy, Black Cat, voiced by Jennifer Hale. So I was like, I just have a thing for Jennifer Hale.
You're like,
apparently.
ooh, I like this.
Like,
By the way, I also was attracted to her.
Oh yes.
Jennifer Hale, if you're listening, you're invited on the podcast.
Yes, she is. She
Oh,
is
yeah.
not listening. She has like
No.
360 credits. She is always working.
Yeah, she is way too. That you know what's actually hilarious though is that not only was she the Black Cat in the Spider-Man the animated series, but when they did that absolutely god awful Catwoman tie-in movie game that I actually owned, they got Jennifer Hale to voice her as well.
She's done a lot of stuff. She was
She's-
Captain Marvel, and
she's the most prolific video game voice actress in bar none.
she's also Spider-Woman and played Jean Grey and a lot of stuff. Anyway, we got to wrap this up soon, but I wanted to ask, who's your favorite Spider-Man so far as an actor goes?
Ooh. Oh god.
Tom Holland.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Because,
say Tom Holland.
like-
If I can't say honestly,
Like, Andrew Garfield
I hear
was a great
yeah,
Spider-Man.
He was, but I hear when I'm reading Spidey, I tend to hear the guy who voiced him in the '90s series, whose name
Christopher
escapes
Daniel
me, but-
Barnes.
Yes, but he
I have that
also
written
voiced
down.
Eric in The Little Mermaid. So I have sort of
That-
trouble separating
Yeah,
those.
I think he's the premier
Well-
voice, Christopher Daniel Barnes, and he would be almost my choice, but I'm going with Josh Keaton from Spectacular
Yeah,
Spider-Man.
Josh
I
Keaton was
love
pretty
that.
good,
That was
yeah.
my favorite Spider-Man.
I'm going with Tom Holland.
Tom
because I'm
Holland
just
is
thinking of the
pretty good,
movies. And like Andrew Garfield was a good Spider-Man,
Yeah.
and Tobey Maguire was a
Peter
good
Parker.
Peter
Yeah,
Parker.
but Tom Holland's a
But
mix.
Tom Holland, he's killing both of those. Tom Holland, if you're listening, you can come on the podcast.
I think he's got bigger fish to fry. But I'll tell you what was hilarious is that I was watching they did a recording of the Billy Elliot the musical, and at the end of it they brought in all the kids who have been Billies in the past. Bear in mind it's been going on for 10 years, and I was like, oh, isn't this nice? And I was looking at the back, I was like, that kid looks familiar. That kid looks really familiar. Holy shit, it's Spider-Man.
The follow-up question, because we're doing this, who's your favorite Batman?
Oh god.
And we are including
there's
animated
only one
series and
answer.
stuff.
There's only one answer, and it's Kevin Conroy.
Okay,
Kevin
you win.
Conroy.
Yeah, Kevin
Is that
Conroy.
okay? We're not even going there.
Nope.
Yeah, there's
Okay.
no competition.
That was a dumb question then. Anyway, we have to keep these podcasts now to under an hour and a half so we can have two of them up at the same time on SoundCloud.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think that's going to be it for this week.
Okay.
All right.
Toodles.
We are having a logo contest right now. You can email in your logo thing into accidentally casual.
Wait, sorry, I forgot to mention the thing.
We
that I
have
said I was
something.
gonna
We have an
mention.
important announcement.
I like breaking announcement. A bunch of people from the Dragon Age BioWare community, especially the ones on Twitter, are trying to make. We're going to make a thing, which is we're going to make the equivalent of N7 Day for Dragon Age, which is Dragon Age Day, but it's D4 Day, if that makes any sense. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it the 4th of December. And we're going to try and do streams and fan art, and there's going to be lots of things being organised. So just to get the word out there, that put you in your calendars, D4 Day is going to be a thing. Dragon Age
I would
Day
have
is
it as a
gonna be
different
thing.
day, but I'm not qualified enough to do that. So D4
Well,
we're going with.
That's been decided. It's
It's
set
been
in stone,
decided.
Minius.
It's already set in stone.
Yes, it is.
All right,
All right.
we gotta wrap this up. Otherwise, I have to edit out a bunch of stuff.
No worries.
So that's it for this week. If you like the show, tell your friends. If not, tell your enemies. I actually would like that. Join us next week as we get into what we like about games. Main topic: what's the most important aspect of a video game to you? Write in at accidentallycasual@gmail.com. You can check out our extra content. We have YouTube channels. Is it Bio?
We do.
I'm not checking. Is it BioWare Essential yet?
Still
You guys are
finalizing contract stuff.
all right. You guys there's
But
actually technical
can't-
stuff that you have to deal with, like legal stuff, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm making fun of you, but you can't rush that shit, otherwise you're screwed.
No. Yeah. Especially because of the contract, we had to rewrite it multiple times, or at least there were a lot of things I was not agreeing with, and I was putting my foot down with.
Okay. Serious business.
Oh, again, like I could be serious and very professional when need be.
It is true, and I'm glad you're not on the podcast, because then I'd be serious and professional, and it would
That'd
be
be boring
boring.
as shit.
You can look at my YouTube channel at Minius GC. I'll have a video coming up on exactly what I'm doing in the future. But for Seeker Cat and the Tucker, I'm Minius, reminding you to try and game happy.
Bye, everyone.
Seeker, are you still recording?
Yes, I am recording.
Woo!
Definitely. Yes.
25 seconds of material. Yeah.
Yes.